Okay, so you want to own Costco. Not a warehouse, not a franchise agreement. The actual company, the one trading on the NASDAQ under the ticker COST, worth somewhere north of $400 billion, moving product through more than 900 warehouses across a dozen plus countries, feeding a member base that now tops 145 million cardholders. Here's the part that breaks people's brains. Costco is, by the numbers, one of the worst retailers on earth at making money from the things it sells you. Its gross margin, what's left after buying the product and before paying for anything else, sits at just over 11%. Target runs closer to 28. Walmart's closer to 24. If Costco were graded purely on retail math, it would look like a company barely keeping its head above water, selling flat-screen TVs and rotisserie chickens for almost exactly what it paid for them. And yet it just posted $8 billion in net income. It has a devoted customer base that pays for the privilege of shopping there before they've bought a single item, and a renewal rate north of 90%, higher than most marriages by certain metrics. So if the merchandise isn't the business, what is? Where does an 11% gross margin turn into one of the most efficient, most loved, most quietly ruthless businesses in American retail? That's what we're here to figure out. Not the folklore, the $1.50 hot dog, the free samples, the guy in the vest who cuts you a 200-pound wheel of Parmesan. The actual mechanics underneath it. Because once you see how this business really makes its money, you'll never look at a Kirkland Signature label the same way again. Let's start with the number that should confuse you. Fiscal 2025, $269.9 billion in net sales, up 8%. Comparable sales up 6% across the US, Canada, and international segments. On paper, that's a retailer firing on every cylinder. But pull the thread on where the profit inside that number actually comes from, and the picture gets strange fast. Costco's gross margin for the year came in at 11.12%. Its operating margin, after paying for labor, rent, logistics, everything, was 3.7%. Operating income for the entire fiscal year, $2.4 billion. On $270 billion in sales. That's the kind of margin you'd expect from a company selling something people barely want, at a price it can barely defend. Now put that next to this. Membership fee revenue for the same year was $5.3 billion, up 10%. And unlike the merchandise, that revenue costs Costco almost nothing to generate. There's no cost of goods sold on a membership card, no inventory risk, no markdown risk. It is, functionally, pure profit the moment it clears the register. Run the math on what that means, and the part that breaks people's brains arrives right on schedule. In recent fiscal years, membership fees have accounted for the majority of Costco's operating income, over 70% of it in fiscal 2022 and 2023, and still north of 65% in fiscal 2024. Take the membership fee out of the business entirely, and what's left is a company selling televisions and toilet paper at close to cost, propping up an operating margin that would make most retail investors nervous. So here's the reframe you need to hold on to for the rest of this video. Costco does not sell merchandise to make money. It sells merchandise to justify the membership. The 11% gross margin isn't a flaw in the model. It's the price of admission. Every razor-thin markup, every dollar shaved off a product, exists to make the $65 Gold Star card or the $130 executive card feel like the best purchase you made all year. The warehouse isn't the business. The card in your wallet is. So if the membership fee is where the real money lives, why not just raise prices on the merchandise a little? Nobody's checking. A jar of ketchup that costs $1 sells fine at $1.03. Nobody walks out over 3 cents. Jim Senegal, Costco's co-founder, was asked exactly that question once. Why not squeeze a little more out of pricing? His answer has become close to scripture inside the company. Raising prices by just 3%, he said, would add 50% to Costco's pre-tax income. Then he compared it to heroin. Do it a little, he said, and you'll want a little more. Raising prices is the easy way out. That's not a throwaway line. It's a constraint Costco has built directly into how it prices everything. The company caps its own markup at roughly 14% on branded merchandise and 15% on its private label Kirkland Signature line. For comparison, a typical department store markup runs close to 100%. Even a discount retailer like Walmart is still marking goods up around 25%. nearly double Costco's self-imposed ceiling. Some categories at Costco land even lower than the cap. The company's own numbers put the average markup across the entire store at around 11%. There's a story from inside the company that captures exactly what this discipline looks like under pressure. Costco's buyers had been selling Calvin Klein jeans at $29.99. Then they landed a cheaper shipment. Same product, lower cost. A normal retailer pockets that difference. Costco dropped the shelf price to $22.99 instead. Senegal's reaction to the temptation to keep the extra margin. Do you know how tempting that is? Once you do, that's like taking heroin. Here's why a company would voluntarily leave money like that on the table. Every time Costco holds the line on price, it's not losing a sale, it's making a payment. A payment into member trust, which is the one asset the entire business model depends on. That trust is what shows up a year later as a 92.3% renewal rate in the US and Canada and 89.8% worldwide, among the highest customer retention figures in all of retail. The markup cap doesn't cost Costco money. It's how Costco buys the renewal. Walk into a typical American supermarket and you're choosing from something like 30,000 different products. Amazon's catalog runs past 100 million. Walk into a Costco, and the number of distinct items on the floor at any given time sits at roughly 3,700 to 4,000. That's not a limitation. It's a decision, and one of the strangest ones in retail, because carrying fewer products is supposed to mean less choice, less traffic, less revenue. So, before we get into why fewer products can actually mean more money, if you're finding this kind of breakdown useful, subscribing means the next one of these lands in your feed the moment it's out. Worth doing before we keep going. Anyway, here's the problem with a 4,000 SKU store. Every single one of those slots has to work extremely hard. There's no room for a mediocre seller quietly taking up shelf space the way there is in a 30,000 SKU supermarket. Every product Costco stocks has to move fast enough, in high enough volume, to justify the real estate it occupies, which means Costco's buyers are constantly negotiating on immense volume for a tiny number of items, and constantly rotating unpredictable, limited-run products through the floor to keep members walking every aisle instead of beelining for what they came for. That unpredictability has a name inside the company's culture, even if it's not an official one: the treasure hunt. You never know if the wheel of Parmesan or the pallet of patio furniture will be there next month, so you look. And looking means buying things you didn't plan to buy. That discipline is also what makes Costco's real profit weapon possible: Kirkland Signature. Kirkland now spans more than 500 products, occupying just 12.5% of Costco's total assortment. And yet it accounts for roughly a quarter of total revenue, with some independent research putting its share of sales even higher across major categories. Where a national brand might sell at Costco's 14% markup cap, Kirkland Signature can run up to the full 15% on a product that often costs Costco less to source in the first place. Fewer SKUs isn't Costco offering you less. It's Costco making sure almost everything on the shelf is either something you can't get anywhere else, or something with Costco's own name and Costco's own margin printed on it. In 1985, Costco started selling a hot dog and a soda together for $1.50. It is still $1.50, not adjusted for inflation once in 41 years. There's a story, confirmed by the man himself in later interviews, that captures why. Costco's longtime CFO, Richard Galante, once told Senegal the company was losing money on the combo and needed to raise the price. Senegal's reply: "If you raise the effing hot dog, I will kill you." Figure it out. They figured it out, just not by raising the price. When the cost of sourcing hot dogs from an outside supplier got too high, Costco built its own hot dog manufacturing plant outside Los Angeles to make Kirkland Signature dogs in-house. When that wasn't enough capacity, they opened a second plant in Chicago. When Costco's contract with Coca-Cola came up, they switched the fountain to Pepsi to hold the price down. And to dodge city-level taxes on sugary drinks in places like San Francisco, the food court simply doesn't sell them. Diet soda and unsweetened tea only. That is an extraordinary amount of vertical integration, real estate, and supply chain engineering, all deployed to protect the price of a single hot dog combo that, by design, loses the company money. Which is exactly the point. The hot dog isn't a menu item. It's a loss leader, a deliberately and profitable product that exists purely to pull you through the door and keep you feeling like Costco's prices are permanently, provably honest. The same logic runs the gas stations. Thin to non-existent margins, priced to undercut nearly everyone in the area, because the goal was never to make money selling gasoline. The goal is foot traffic, and foot traffic is what turns into a membership renewal 10 months later. Costco doesn't lose money on the hot dog. It spends money on the hot dog, the same way it spends money on marketing, except this version comes with a bun. The average retail worker in America earns somewhere around $15 an hour, gets minimal benefits, and quits within the year. Industry-wide turnover in retail regularly runs past 60%. Costco's average hourly wage sits closer to $21 to $24, nearly double the retail norm, and 88% of its workers get access to company-sponsored health insurance. Its turnover rate, under 8%. On a spreadsheet, that looks like a company handing away margin it doesn't have to. SG&A, the cost of running the operation, largely driven by labor, sits at 9.25% of net sales, and every fraction of a point of that is a direct subtraction from an already razor-thin operating margin. Wall Street has, at various points over the last 2 decades, pushed Costco to cut labor costs the way most retailers do. The company has, consistently, refused. Here's the arithmetic Wall Street kept missing. A cashier who's been at Costco for 8 years scans faster, catches more shrinkage, makes fewer errors, and needs almost no retraining, all of which quietly claws back the wage premium in efficiency the balance sheet doesn't itemize. And because Costco promotes almost entirely from within, that same cashier can become a floor supervisor, then an assistant general manager, then run their own warehouse, all without the company ever paying to recruit and train a stranger for the job. Low turnover isn't Costco being generous. It's Costco recognizing that institutional knowledge is a cheaper input than a lower hourly wage. It just doesn't show up on the same line of the income statement. There's one more asset sitting underneath every warehouse that almost never comes up when people talk about Costco because it doesn't show up cleanly on the income statement at all: the land. Costco owns the majority of the real estate its warehouses sit on, rather than leasing it, and it has been buying that land, often at the edge of suburban growth, decades before that edge became prime commercial ground, since the 1980s. Real estate held on a company's books is generally carried at what it costs to acquire, not what it's currently worth. Which means a parcel of land Costco bought outside a growing city in 1994 is still sitting on the balance sheet at 1994 prices, even though the metro area built up around it and the land itself may be worth many multiples of that today. None of that appreciation shows up in net income. None of it shows up in the operating margin everyone fixates on. It just sits there, compounding, silently, underneath a business that already looks efficient on every other line. And that's really the whole model. Once you stack every piece on top of each other, the markup cap builds trust. Trust builds renewal. Renewal builds the membership fee income that actually funds the company's profit. The tight SKU count and the loss-leading hot dog keep members walking the floor and coming back. The wage bill buys institutional knowledge that shows up as efficiency nobody bothers to price. And underneath every single warehouse where all of that happens, the dirt itself has been quietly getting more valuable the entire time. So, okay, you wanted to own Costco. What you're actually buying isn't a retailer. It's a coalition, a card, a hot dog, a wage, and a parking lot, all pointed at the same goal, and none of them, on their own, telling you the whole story. Here's what's strange, though. Everything you just watched, the membership, the discipline, the loyalty flywheel, depends entirely on Costco controlling its own pricing and its own risk. There's another kind of business that runs on the exact opposite premise. One where the product isn't something you buy off a shelf, it's money itself, and where the company's real profit doesn't come from what it sells you at all. It comes from a spread you never actually see. Next time, we're going to open up the economics of owning a bank, and by the end of it, you'll understand why a bank can look almost insolvent and still be one of the most profitable businesses on the planet.